Hi, I'm Council President Joyce Waterman, and welcome to Conversation with the Council President. Today, my guest is the Executive Director from the MUA and the Chief Engineer from MUA. So we are here to understand exactly what's going on through the city because they do a lot of great things in the city of Jersey City. So guys, I would like you to introduce yourself to the public and we'll take the conversation from there.
Thank you, Council President. As you know, my name is Joe Cunha. I'm the Executive Director of the MUA. 4.5 years, I've been the Executive Director. Prior to that, I was the Director of Engineering, Traffic, and Transportation for 4.5 years. So basically what we do, the MUA, the crux of the MUA operation is to keep the lifeblood of the city running. And when I say lifeblood, it's our water system. Our water system also feeds our sewage system, which helps us maintain sanitary conditions at all times. As you might imagine, much of the system is well over 100 years old. So right now we are faced with a very difficult task of trying to replace the water and the sewer systems throughout the city while maintaining public safety and all other services that the citizens and constituents deserve.
Thank you. My name is Rich Hadis. I've been employed with the Jersey City MUA for 27 years. My task is to ensure that the MUA follows all the regulatory agencies' requirements with regard to water and sewer, addressing any complaints through residents with backups, issues in the streets with broken manhole covers, catch basins, cave-ins, etc. It's a ongoing project. As the director mentioned, it's an old system, and we're trying to catch up on years of use. And with all the expansion that's happening in Jersey City, we need to keep up with typical flow rates and for water and typical flow rates with the sewer.
Well, at this time, we'll be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Welcome back. And give us some information about some of the projects that you're working on right now.
Okay, that's a great question. So essentially we have 3 different areas within our system. Obviously we have water and sewer, but within those we have different distribution centers. So we have a reservoir that is managed by Veolia Corporation. They are paid by contract to manage and treat the water at the source, which is the Boonton and Parsippany Reservoir, owned by the city of Jersey City. 21 to 23 miles, different sources say different things, but somewhere in that range of aqueduct that sends all of the water into Jersey City. And then we have our distribution system within the city. At that same time, for the distribution system for the water, you have the sewer that begins also within the city. Our projects involve reconstruction of both of those. We just completed phase 1 and 2 of our consent decree. The consent decree was a US EPA lawsuit lodged against the city that we came to an agreement on, a settlement, to create 8 phases of addressing, not necessarily replacement, but addressing the combined sewer system. Part of that was inventorying the entire system. As we did that over the ensuing 5 years or so after the agreement was signed in, I think it was 2010, we discovered that the original scope that we anticipated, and Richie can get into further detail on this, was much, much larger, to the tune of 10 times larger than what anyone anticipated. The reason why I brought that up is I wanted to discuss the phases. So phase 1 and 2 was just completed. It included water and sewer, largely sewer. More than 2/3 was sewer, 1/3 was drinking water. That project completed at approximately $140 million in size. Prior to that, we had completed phases 3 and 4 and phase 5.
Correct.
We still have multiple phases, and as you might imagine, each of those phases also had sub-phases that were born as we went along.
Got it.
So Richie, if you want to just touch on
Yeah.
some of what's coming forward
Sure.
and what's in the ground right now.
Sure. One of our biggest issues, as the director said, with the phase work is it's over a span of time. And since 2008, when we first entered into the consent decree, we are now dealing with what is called the DEP long-term control plan. So
Okay.
some of the projects that the director mentioned, we're incorporating storm sewers, which would pull out the storm when we have the heavy rains
Yeah.
and we see massive flooding in residential units and on streets. We're trying to remove the stormwater out of the combined sewer systems because Jersey City is an older city, much
Correct.
like a lot of cities in Hudson County, and we have a combined sewer system where storm and residential sanitary flow enter into the same pipe. So we're
Gotcha.
trying to remove all the stormwater out of the combined system and put it into a separate storm sewer that will discharge into one of the three waterways around Jersey City, the Penhorn Creek, the Hudson River, or the Hackensack. That's going to give a lot more capacity when we have, again, a lot of the rainfall events that have been changing since the period of time. Now we see more intense rain at a short duration, which
Yes.
creates havoc for everybody. We're trying to, like I said earlier, we're trying to manage not only that, but with the vast growth of Jersey City, a lot of new buildings are going up, massive buildings that's going to require a lot more water and a lot more discharge of sewage into our systems. And again, going back with the long-term control plan, they do not want no combined sewers to overflow into the surrounding water bodies. So for the next 30 years, we have our tasked to try to capture that. And by means of either sewer separation, installing large holding tanks throughout the city, or even green infrastructure, which we've seen some parts of the city we started.
Now, the green infrastructure, let the audience know about that because, you know, we are concerned about the environment.
Absolutely.
And so we really want the audience to know about the green infrastructure, that you guys are really participating in that. You see the importance of it. So let the audience know that.
Sure, absolutely. So essentially with the green infrastructure program, we have mandates in the city already for developments, new developments. I believe they went into effect about a year and a half ago with certain areas of the city. Green infrastructure can consist of many different things, but essentially we're trying to divert stormwater back into the ground as the MUA is, so that, to Richie's point, it doesn't enter the combined sewer system and take up the small room that we have in these pipes already. With storm, when you really want to convey the sanitary sewer over to Passaic Valley, where it is ultimately processed and cleaned out, and that is all DEP regulated. So what we're trying to do is build some green infrastructure in the rights of way, which is basically the cartway of the streets between the curbs. You'll start seeing a lot more of them going in with little gardens. So what they do is they basically essentially drink the stormwater as it rains and percolate into the ground, not going into our sewer system, allowing more room for the regular daily washing of clothing, flushing of toilets, and washing of dishes. So,
well, I need you to hold that thought because when we come back, we definitely want to get to the point of why the increase happened. And based on infrastructure and greenery, I think you can explain it.
Absolutely.
Comprehensive healthcare is here, here, and here. RWJ Barnabas Health is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County with its two newest locations, Hoboken and Exchange Place. Within walking distance or accessible by mass transit, our locations combine convenience with primary and specialty care, including cardiology, women's health, orthopedics, cancer care, and more. Let's be healthy together.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Let's continue with the green infrastructure. let the audience know exactly some of the streets that have been affected by the green infrastructure.
Sure. So I believe the most recent location was York Street. There are various others. They're being led and directed by the Department of Infrastructure, who are very influential in how we are able to execute the work that we do while maintaining that very vital traffic flow and maintaining access to public safety, police and fire, ambulances. We need to maintain those services at an absolute minimum at all times. As you might imagine, when we have a dozen or so, up to 20 some odd locations being worked on at the same time, that can be very challenging. So we basically take direction from them. They have some pre-programmed locations, but essentially, procedurally and policy-wise, we're trying to add some green infrastructure of some type to just about every street that we touch.
Okay.
Richie, if you want to just highlight a couple of those in most recent time, where
Sure.
we're planting right now, actually.
Correct. We have a series of planting going in at, as the director mentioned, at Jersey and York.
Okay.
We have West Side and Fulton. We have Liberty and Van Winkle. We just completed a big project on West Side between Broadway and SIP.
Okay.
We have some on Elm Street. And part of our site plan review, we also asked that the developers not only install tree pits, but install the tree pits where the stormwater running along the curb would enter into the tree pit as opposed to as a straight curb, enter into the tree pit, water the tree, and any extra water would come back out and follow to the catch basin. There's one of those right now at City Hall at Mercer and Marin Boulevard.
Oh, wow.
Another in front of, at the time, it was Skinner's Loft. That was the first one that we did
Oh,
on Newark
okay.
Avenue. That's called a bioswale,
Okay.
what Richie's referring to. And it's a great addition to our system. It's a mandate, like I said, in development. But beyond that, we're trying to do additional. The long-term control plan actually accounted for, I think it was 2% of our entire rights of way to become green infrastructure over the next 30 years.
30 years. So it's going to take us 30 years to do that. But I know the public is concerned because everybody just received word about an increase in the water and sewer.
Sure.
So maybe you can
Absolutely.
elaborate on that and explain why the increase was there. You know, why is it necessary?
Sure.
And how much will, each person see an increase in their bill when they receive it?
So essentially, as you might imagine, this is a very expensive undertaking. Unfortunately, it's a requirement. It's a mandate. The consent decree was the US EPA, the federal agency that governs environmental protection.
Okay.
The long-term control plan is governed and mandated by the NJDEP, which is the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Both very costly, but absolutely necessary programs. We anticipate that we've already committed in the consent decree alone, approximately 2 years ago, to nearly $1.5 billion of expenditures, and that included some water system improvements, which also included some of the lead removal. Lead is another option, another requirement mandate from the NJDEP. The lead alone was estimated to cost $280 million. Removal of the lead service lines, to be clear. Those are the service lines that feed your home or your business or the structure, wherever the meter is installed. So that being said, what we've just completed and what we are completing financing on right now between our bonding and our New Jersey Infrastructure Bank financing, by the end of this quarter, will be nearly an additional $400 million in debt that is going to start being paid at the start of next year annually for 30 years. As you might imagine, that adds quite a few $1 million to our budget.
Correct.
It's absolutely necessary, and that's on top of what we've already been paying for years on debt. But the reason why I bring that up is because we are now starting to see the first tranche of very heavy spending and financing.
Okay.
All that being said, I ran an analysis back to 5 years ago. We've had approximately 3 increases totaling just over 14%. That's actually lower than the inflation that we've experienced, according to the Northeast Consumer Price Index. And we've postponed this increase for nearly 2 years now, actually just over 2 years.
Over 2 years.
2 years and 3 months to be exact. So as you mentioned, this month, everyone's welcome to attend. It's a public meeting of the JCMUA Jersey City Municipal Utilities Authority, Board of Commissioners. We will be recommending a 7% increase. 7% increase on a single family dwelling on average equates to about 20 cents per day additional.
Okay.
So it doesn't sound like a lot on the daily,
But,
but the key is this: it can't stop there. We have to continue working, and we have to pick up the pace to meet the deadlines. Again, never trading public safety and the flow of traffic to assist with public safety and ensure public safety can manage getting around, but it's quite a balance.
yeah.
So as time goes on, costs go up.
Well, first of all, I know this is not an easy topic to talk about increase in any way, but when we get back, let's elaborate on it a little more.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hi, I'm Council President Joyce Waterman, and welcome to Conversation with the Council President. I'm here with my guests, the director and the engineer of MUA, Joe and Rich. That's what I call these guys because they do great work. But let's just go back on explaining to the public exactly the 7% increase.
Yeah, so the 7% increase, again, is basically promulgated by our general costs that have gone up. As you know, inflation's gone up significantly in the past 3 to 4 years. COVID was quite a turning point in our history here. Eventually, you have to pay. So here we are. We're starting to pay. The 7% increase that we're going to recommend, and that has been backed by a study, a thorough study that was done by our financial advisor, NW Financial, who do a great job, is 7%, and it equates to about 20 cents per day on the average single-family dwelling unit citywide. Again, that's average use. Some people are very heavy users, some are not. Some may have one person in a single-family dwelling, some may have up to 6 or more. So again, that's an average, but a large part of that is the debt that we are now starting to have to pay down for 30 years and consistently having to finance new debt as these projects are completed. It's not cheap. We are basically performing open heart surgery, if you will, out there on these roads because we have telephone, we have fiber optic, we have gas, some of which are very old, and the minute you touch them, they fall apart. Water mains, all of these are shallower, meaning just under the surface compared to the very deep sewer. So to get to a very deep sewer, especially when we have to change the size and make it larger, like we did on SIP Avenue, and Richie's going to touch on that to a little bit deeper. SIP Avenue was the largest pipe that we've replaced by far. I am happy to announce that the end result is that we have not seen much flooding despite some heavy rain events since we completed that roadway and opened it up. There were a couple of major improvements to that, but I want to let Richie take over as far as SIP Avenue specifically. That's one of our prototype projects, and I think it's the most impactful so far. There's going to be many more, but that one by far. Richie, do you want to just touch on what had us prioritize SIP Avenue, not only as part of the phase work and the consent decree, but what happened while we were prioritizing it?
Sure. SIP Avenue, again, SIP Avenue at the intersection of SIP and West Side, we consider that a bowl where you have everything coming down from the boulevard heading west, meets West Side Avenue, everything from, say, Bryant heading east comes to West Side, everything from Broadway comes south, and everything from Stuyvesant, meaning storm flow, sanitary flow. So everything meets at SIP Avenue. So when we have these heavy rains and extreme high tides, water gets trapped in the sewers, and we had massive flooding at the intersection of West Side and SIP Avenue, where cars were inundated. They had to be towed out. Some people had to be rescued by Jersey Fire Department by boats. So what we did was we started performing sections of sewer replacement back in 2008, starting at SIP and Route 440 and heading east. We got to a certain point, and then the next phase came in. During that point, we installed what is called a stormwater pump station at the foot of SIP Avenue and 440, which every time it rains heavy, the pumps would kick on. And as opposed to the gravity flow of sewage overcoming high tide, the pumps would assist it, pump it out manually and force it out into the Hackensack River. And then as the additional phases came up, we started enlarging the pipe size, and we put some new type of bypass at the intersection to allow all the stormwater that comes from the boulevard to bypass that intersection and tie back into the pipe further west downstream, so the water, the stormwater pump station could pump it out into the Hackensack River. And as the director said, we haven't seen any flooding on Route 440, nor have we seen flooding at the intersection. Most of the residents who have called me over the last 20 years said that, for the last year and a half, they have not experienced any typical flooding at that intersection.
If I may interject.
Sure, go ahead.
Maybe everyone saw a viral video from a Ring doorbell of a massive 30 by 30 foot crater that just popped out of nowhere in the street, nearly swallowed a car. We jumped immediately from that day and moved forward. However, 3 others occurred while we were still addressing that one and beginning the project, and that's why SIP Avenue had to be fast forwarded, if you will. It immediately told us that it was the priority. So I wanted to make sure, because some people out there have seen that video. I think many people have.
Well, we know you guys do a lot of work, and when we come back, I would like to know about the sinkholes. I think part of the public, that's their concern with the sinkholes, and I know that's been happening in various parts of the city. So when we come back, let's just have a discussion on the sinkholes.
Absolutely.
All right?
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Welcome back, and let's just touch on some sinkholes. I know we don't have much time, and I do want the public to understand about sinkholes and exactly where they're happening at throughout the city.
Sure. So sinkholes happen numerous ways.
Yeah.
The most common that we encounter are very similar to what just happened last night at a very high profile, very busy intersection, Montgomery and Grove.
Okay.
We had a water main break back, I think it was in January. It was a significant water main break. The water main actually broke because it was moving due to the cold and also due to the heavy rains that had penetrated in through the pipes in the sewer. The sewer pipes are very porous. They're brick lined, but a lot of the mortar joints are gone.
Okay.
As you might imagine, they're probably about 130 years old in that area. So that being said, we had a gas main installed not far from the manhole in question that actually had settled and collapsed, making it dangerous to drive over. And we discovered, after we called in an emergency contractor, that the gas main and valve right above it, which is backfilled with sand, had found its way through the path of least resistance, as it would, to the sewer.
Wow.
So it essentially washed away soils, sand, into the sewer and caused the subsidence. When it's not there to hold it up, it disappears and it drops downward. Now that happens at various degrees. We have one major one ongoing right now. I know that your constituents are very familiar with it, Garfield Avenue. We discovered that the pipe was broken from one end to the other. Well, we had no idea that once we started addressing that one, we would lose the water main, because the water main broke approximately 4 times within a 3-day period,
Wow.
flooding the sewer excavation, the trench,
Yeah.
which then causes more soil to find its way to the holes in the sewer and wash downstream. It's just a big domino effect.
Yeah.
So we had to stop the sewer work, jump on the water main work. As we're performing the water main work, a gas leak occurred. We realized the pipe is extremely old and it started moving. So now the new priority is the gas.
Yes.
So we replaced the gas, PSC&G replaced the gas. We worked in very close coordination, 24/7, because it was still cold, make sure everybody still had heat. And we just completed the water main, and now we have the rest of the sewer to go, and we should be wrapping that up. But the reason why I bring this up is sinkholes lead to major emergencies that we don't even include. That's all aside from the long-term control plan
Gotcha.
and the phase programs from the consent decree.
This is in addition to.
This is in addition to, comes up every day. It's unknown. We account for it up to a certain extent, but it's really, really difficult to predict. We know more or less, but it bewilders us on a daily basis where it happens. Rich, do you want to touch on a little bit more on these emergencies?
Sure. You know, every time it rains, it creates some type of emergency. Either we get a typical pothole or we get what is called a void. If it is a pothole, we send our crews out in conjunction with DPW who fill it up. Most of the time when it becomes a void, there's a hollow cavity underneath the ground. We deploy our camera trucks. We assess the problem. We perform dye testing. As the director said, some of the problems are even worse than we anticipate because there could be a large cavity underneath the street, and people are driving over it, which is it's very dangerous. I mean, in my time, we lost garbage trucks, we lost multiple vehicles, buses.
Cars,
so it is a dangerous. Big sewers, deep sewers cause large voids. But we have 3 camera trucks. We have the city's fortunate that they have the best type of equipment that we could get out there, find the problem, and address it before somebody either gets hurt or there's a loss of life. It's an ongoing battle. What we've been doing, even with the potholes, Jersey City has multiple types of sewers. We have clay sewers, brick sewers, wooden sewers, asbestos, concrete sewers, every type of sewer. So any movement in the ground, the 3-foot sections separate a little bit, leaving a little gap for the soils to fall in underneath the street, causing a void. What we've been doing, if we do not have to enlarge the sewer, we keep it the same size. We do what is called trenchless technology, which we have used on Cater Street and Wayne Street, downtown Jersey City. And that's where they put a sock through the sewer, they heat it up, and you have a new sewer within the old sewer. It saves a lot of time, saves a lot of headache for the residents. It completes the project in a timely fashion. So we've been looking at all these, and again, the residents' concerns are our biggest concerns, and we try to help them as much as possible. We know it's not easy. We appreciate them being patient with us. But again, for the people that we have already solved the flooding problems and the people we're going to get to, you're going to see a big difference throughout the city.
Well, there you have it. I'm Council President Joyce Waterman, and I have to say goodbye, but I did want you guys to know exactly what MUA is doing and what they're facing. And you can see our city is old. Even though we're doing a lot of building, there's new building, but our infrastructure is very old. So reach out to MUA if you have any questions. You can always call